All right, what is going on, ladies and gentlemen? How is it going? I am Is There No One Else? In the video I'm bringing you today, I wanted to discuss heel breaking the Scalebreaker DLC. Now, little disclaimer, guys, this video is going to be longer than most of my videos that I posted for Scalebreaker. It's been kind of cool, but some of the stuff I've posted has been good enough that it's warranted people to post it on the forums for people to have a discussion on. However, I don't. When I've made those videos, I haven't gone through all the details, and then you get trolls basically flaming you for doing stuff that you're not doing, and it doesn't provide a healthy discussion. So we're going to discuss the build, the gear, everything that I'm running. When I'm discussing healing, there's no way we're going to be able to do an apples to apples comparison of stamina based healing skills and abilities versus magicka. So that's not what we're attempting to do. We're not going to attempt to compare healing of light versus medium, medium versus heavy, heavy versus light, nothing like that. What I'm doing here, guys, is I'm comparing a medium armor, open world, elsewhere build, and going through what it has, what its capabilities are, and then I'm going to compare it versus a light armor, open world, elsewhere, magicka build. Both these builds I've ran in open world PvP. I've 1vx'd with. They're both viable. They both do good damage. They have their own ways of sustaining and healing and their own ways of survivability. So I'm going to dive into the gear, the CP, all that, so you guys can see that I'm not cheesing healing or anything like that, so you can see exactly what it is. And then we're going to talk about stamina healing, and then we're going to talk about magicka healing, and then we're going to talk about options for Scalebreakers. So this is my stamina Necromancer that I'm running. I'm running 5 Spriggans on the front bar with a sharpened maul. Black Rose dual wield on the back bar, 2 Bloodspawn, 5-piece hulking Draugr, all infused weapon damage enchants. I have the Lavafoot Supensal Trees, Serpent Mundus. I am an Orc, and these are my stats. 41k stamina, 3200 weapon damage on buffed, 1983 stamina recovery. Fully buffed, we look like this. 3852 weapon damage, 41k stam. We hit very hard, guys. We have 16k D-Swing, we have a 17.5 Blast Bones, and a 17.5 Dawnbreaker of Smiting. We go into our CP tree, just so you can see that I'm not stacking into Blessed for healing or taking points out of Blessed because I want to show a disparity or whatever you think I'm going to do. This is what my CP tree looks like. Feel free to go and check it out. So anyways, because this is a medium armor build, Shuffle got buffed this patch, which means we now have access to good snare immunity. We don't have to run forward momentum, and we can run rally. Rally got a nice burst over time, and it heals you for quite a bit. And the thing with rally is the longer you wait for the duration, the better your burst heal can be. And so this heal is actually very powerful currently for the Scalebreaker DLC. Like, the burst is valuable. They got rid of the heal over time, and so at its max or at its apex of when this scales, it can heal for as much as or more than Breath of Life or Honor the Dead. However, you have to wait for the heal. So that's the difference between this heal and Honor the Dead or Breath of Life. Whose ability, like, you can keep spamming to get that burst heal. This one, you cast it, you get the big heal. You have to wait like another 5 to 10 seconds in order to cast it again. And so that's the difference between Rally and Honor the Dead, but it is a very valuable skill if you can fit it on your bar and get your other forms of snare removal. Medium armor builds can pull this off. A lot of heavy armor builds cannot because they need the snare removal, so they run forward momentum. And so all builds running forward momentum next patch are losing some heal over time aspects to rally and forward momentum. And so they're losing some healing for the Scalebreaker DLC. They also reworked Resolving Vigor. More or less, it's a small incremental heal per second compared to elsewhere. But they reduce the duration. So you're going to have to cast this more often. It's a slight increase in cost. It's a slight increase in heal. It's more or less, it's relatively unchanged. You're going to have to cast it more, which is a little bit more annoying to deal with, but there's not a huge difference. With this build, with all my weapon damage, with the points that I have in CP, we're at 13,150 health over 4 seconds. These are the 2 big heals that stamina classes have. Now, we could go into skills like Blood Craze. We could go into skills like Siphoning Attacks or Lotus Blossom or whatever the Warden one has, or Power Surge or Crit Surge. Skills that when you activate, and then when you hit with light or heavy attacks or another ability, you can potentially get heals off of. We could talk about those, but like every toolkit has access to skills like that. Magplars have Puncturing Sweeps. Mag DKs have Power Lash. You know, like everybody kind of, like there's some sort of skills out there for just about everybody that heal you when you attack people. And so I'm not talking about these types of heals. I only want to talk about burst heals and heals over time. And so when you're looking at stamina-based classes across the board, there's only one class in the game that has a stamina-based heal, and that is Stam Warden. Their Soothing Spores are stamina-based. With that being said, Cauterize is obviously a very powerful skill. It's pretty cheap. It's great for Stam DKs, but it is Magicka-based. And so that's in its own category. It's very valuable, but those two heals are the only two like really good stamina-based class heals in the game. Every other class does not have a stamina-based heal. Necromancers do not. Magicka Necromancers have a great heal in Render Flesh and its morphs, which is basically like an Honor the Dead. Pet Sorks, have the Twilight Matriarch, which, and elsewhere is a great heal. They nerfed it a little bit, but it's still a good burst heal. Stamina Sorks do not have that. Wardens obviously have their Soothing Spores. They're the only class. And then you have Nightblades, Magicka, and Stamina. Neither one of them have a burst heal. And so they're the only class that doesn't have a burst heal in their toolkit. Mag DKs, Coagulating Blood finally got buffed, and it's actually pretty good. Coag is finally in a pretty good spot for a heal, so they have, a burst-based heal, and a lot of their abilities actually heal you as well. But like I said, we're not talking about those, we're just talking about burst heals. Magicka classes, almost all Magicka classes have a burst-based heal in their toolkit, and only one stamina class does. And so when you're looking at heals for stamina classes, you have Resolving Vigor, and you maybe have Rally, depending on your build. But it's mostly Resolving Vigor, and that's about it. And so that is what kind of creates a problem for stamina classes in Scalebreaker, because what they did is they increased damage over time effects. And I'm just going to show one of them. We have Soul Splitting Trap here. I think this is unbuffed. I can't remember. But we have 19,000 physical damage over 10 seconds. And so when we look at the skill, if we cut it in half, that's 9,500. So this is doing roughly 8,000 damage over 4 seconds. This one ability is doing more damage over 4 seconds than half of our Resolving Vigor. And so when you're fighting outnumbered, and obviously like I'm wearing Black Rose Dual Wield, I have a bunch of damage mitigation, but if you got hit by 3 people with Soul Splitting Trap, you're going to have a hard time recovering from that with the current heals, because Resolving Vigor is just not ticking that hard. And it's not just Soul Splitting Trap. They buffed Entropy by a lot as well. They buffed Crippling Grasp. They buffed Burning Embers. A lot of single target dots got a huge buff to damage over time effects. And so when you're looking at alternatives for stamina classes for healing, there are none. You have Vigor and you have Rally. And so once again, like I said, we could talk about Blood Craze, we could talk about Magnum Shot or Draining Shot, but those are damage-based skills that heal you, which other classes also have. And so I'm going to switch, I'm going to log out here, and I'm going to go onto another class. And keep in mind, guys, look at my Vigor tooltip, it was 13,000 unbuffed over 4 seconds. And I'm going to go to my Magicka Templar. And now, the reason I'm choosing my Magicka Templar over another Magicka class is because on my channel, guys, my Magicka Templar in the Elsewhere patch is my most watched video. So if you guys are watching my video, I'm assuming most of you guys are pretty aware of what I'm running on my Magplar. And so I wanted to use that as a reference. I'll go through everything, but I'll talk about the other classes as well as we do it. But that's why we have this benchmark for this specific build. We're just in a big load screen. But I want to just show what the heals are for a Magplar in a similar situation in Elsewhere currently, and then going into Scalebreaker. And so while we're in this load screen, I wanted to just say, I've been watching a bunch of Magicka. I talked to my buddies that have been dueling on the PTS, and Stamina or Magicka, everybody's saying the dots are hitting and ticking very hard. They're tough to recover from. I really have to build into sustain across the board. So Stamina and Magicka is having a hard time sustaining. And that's good. It sounds like infinite sustain is no longer going to exist through Harness Magicka. People aren't going to be able to get by with really low amounts of recovery. That's fantastic. We're going to have an action-packed meta where people can actually die, which is really cool. Now that we're in here, we're going to go in through the gear really quick. But this is my Magplar that I'm wearing for the Elsewhere patch. We're wearing Cyrodiil's Light on the front bar. Cyrodiil's Light on the back bar, 2-piece Bloodspawn, 5-piece Crafty Elfique, and then all spell damage enchants. We are wearing the Mage Mundus, and these are our stats. We have 800 Magicka Recovery, we have 46,000 Magicka, we have 2k spell damage, and yeah, that's where we're at. And so people are going to look at this and they're going to go, hey, you can't sustain with that build. And it's like, well, Channeled Focus gives us almost 500 Magicka Recovery. Elemental Drain gives us 600, so we have 1100 recovery with those two skills. Magicka Recovery is at 800, 1100 on top of that. We're at 1900 before a pot. We have 2000 recovery with this build, and then with 46,000 Magicka, we are a Breton. And so we have a bunch of reduced cost. We can sustain more than fine with this. I've won VX with this build. This build is more than viable in PvP. This is one of the most powerful builds I've actually ever run on my Magplar. It's really good. So what they've done with Magplar is they buffed the healing on Extended Ritual. And so keep in mind, guys, we have about a 13,000 heal unbuffed on our medium armor Necromancer. For Vigor, which is roughly 2,700 health every second. Purify got a huge buff to their heal, and so now you get 2,600 health unbuffed every 2 seconds. So this heal, this big AoE heal, is half of a medium armor Stamina Necromancer heal. And so anybody that's in this takes this heal. And so this is a big utility heal that lasts for 24 seconds, that anybody that walks into gets 50% of what Vigor does. A solo single target heal of Resolving Vigor. And so they buffed this heal by a lot because they felt like Magplars needed more healing in their toolkit for Scalebreaker, which I'm not saying that they don't. Keep in mind, guys, I am not calling for nerfs for Magplar. That's not what I'm trying to say. I'm just saying that there's something wrong when you have Purify, which is already it's already one of the most powerful skills in the game. And it's going to be more powerful next patch. In dot-based metas, Purify is going to be even more valuable. Purify, Magplars and Stamplars are going to be able to benefit more from a dot-based meta than any other class in the game because they can just purify the dots. And so adding a stronger heal on top of that makes them stronger because they're already equipping this skill. And so when you look at this heal, they have a pretty good heal over time. And they also have one of the best burst heals in the game. I can get this in PvP if I have continuous attack. I have all my major buffs. I can get my Honor the Dead up to 16,000. Currently it's at 12,400, so I mean it's whatever. But yeah, I'm going to go into my CP really quick as well. You guys can take a peek, make sure I'm not cheesing anything so you don't think I'm bullshitting. I have 32 into Blessed. This is just what I have for my CP for this specific build. But yeah, so this is what I run currently, and so I can sustain just fine. Instead of this, I have Psijic Order. I have Race Against Time here for the extra crit damage, and I also have a pretty good damage shield. It says 9,500 right now. In PvP, it's around 8,400, and I think on Elsewhere I have like a 9k shield. So I lost a little bit off my Harness Magicka, but when you consider our resistances, fully buffed, with Bloodspawn, I'm going to be at 33k spell. I'm at 27k physical. I have good max magic. I have good healing. My resistances are fine. My wards are actually going to be pretty beefy. And then on top of that, I have this heal over time, and I have this burst heal. I have pretty good survivability with this build. However, if I go into Scalebreaker and I decide, wow, these dots really are eating me up as well as a Magplar, I don't know if I can survive with just those two things, I'm going to take off my sword and board on my back bar, and I'm going to put on a Maelstrom Resto Staff. And so now I still have access to Extended Ritual. I still have access to Honor the Dead. But now I also have access to Rapid Regeneration. And unbuffed, we're at 20,000 over 5 seconds. This is a better heal than Resolving Vigor. This can hit multiple people, and it is cheap to cast. And so if you see, I have 800 recovery, but with this, I can basically infinitely spam this. And with the VMA Resto giving me Magicka return, it doesn't cost a whole lot to run this skill. And so I have utility with this skill by being able to cast it on other people. If I'm in solo PvP and I'm playing by myself, I know it'll always land on myself if I'm the only person in the area. And so yes, it is not the exact same as Vigor because, you can't guarantee that this will immediately land on you, but you quick cast it twice and you basically have your resources back because it kind of, it's a cheap skill and it pays for itself with the VMA Resto. But regardless, it's still a cheap skill. But it's an option. it is an option for Magicka-based classes to run Rapid Regen. If they don't want to run Rapid Regen, they can run Healing Ward. And they can put Healing Ward on the bar, and they can maybe switch to Black Rose Resto. And then you can run Harness, Healing Ward, and Breath of Life. You have those options, and then you can get 30%, you can get Major Vitality, and you can boost your heals of your Honor of the Dead by 30%. And your Healing Ward is going to heal you for a lot too, if you're worried about the dot ticks. And so these are options. And so this is obviously a Magplar, but a Magsork, they have access to Harden Ward, they have access to Harness Magicka, and they can choose to either run Rapid Regeneration or Healing Ward, and they also have access to skills like Dark Conversion. Mag DKs have access to these two skills that are also very powerful. They also have access to Coagulating Blood for that quick burst heal, and Cauterize if they so choose. Magic and Nightblades, sorry guys, you got Dark Cloak, which is that one heal over time. You have the ground-based Refreshing Path that is also a heal over time. That's all you have. Sorry, Magic and Nightblades, but basically if you want healing, you got to run a Resto Staff. That's just the way it is currently. We don't have a burst heal. Sorry. Wardens, you have Living Trellis, you have your Soothing Spores, and then you can also dip into the Resto skill line. Every Magicka class has access to class-based heals that scale off their Magicka, or they have skills in a skill line where they can get more heals. And so when you're looking at a build for your Mag Sork or your Mag DK or whatever, and you're like, wow, Coag and Harness isn't going to cut it on it to put something else on, you have access to put something else on. If you're a Stamina class and you're a medium armor, you have Vigor and you have Rally, and that's all you have. And so when we're looking at these skills, and we're looking at potentially Degeneration and Soul Splitting Trap, which are going to be two prominent skills because they're just two of the best dots in the game. We have 23,000 magic damage. We have 17,000 magic damage. This is 40,000 magic damage over 10 seconds. So 20,000 magic damage over 5, roughly 16,000 magic damage 4 seconds. This is going to do more damage. These two dots are going to do more damage than your Vigor tick on a medium armor Stamina Necromancer. And so, yes, you have damage mitigation with Black Rose Dual Wield. However, you're going to basically have to keep 100% uptime on your Vigor in order to deal with two dots from this class. And keep in mind, guys, most Magicka builds running this have 15 to 20k pen. Normally, I probably won't be running both these dots. I'll consider it. I don't know how I'm going to fit the one on my bar, but I'll be running one. But I also have Purifying Light. I have Toppling Charge, give me 10% more damage. I have my Spammable. I have Crescent Sweep. And so when you're talking about one of these dots eating away 30 to 40% of your Vigor ticks, and you have to basically keep 100% uptime on it or else it's going to eat away at you, because I have enough pen to go through all of your armor, it's going to be really rough. And the other thing about Soul Splitting Trap is it's currently undodgeable. It's cheap to cast, and it's undodgeable because it's a dot. And so medium armor has always been powerful. When it has been powerful, it's powerful because you can move around. You can't really take damage, but the way this game currently functions is a lot of AoE skills hit too hard, and there are just undodgeable things in the game, like ultimates and dots like this, apparently, that are... I think both of these are undodgeable, actually, but I could be wrong. So my point is next patch, you're not going to see many medium... As it currently stands, you're not going to see medium armor stamina builds in open world PvP because they only have Vigor and they only have Rally to survive. And so when you're talking about two dots basically eating your life apart, how are you going to be able to 1vx 3 people if they all have access to these dots? How are you going to be able to to take those people out when you're just going to be recovering the entire time? You can't. And so what stamina-based classes are going to have to do is they're going to stack into damage mitigation, they're going to stack into resistances, and they're going to stack into health recovery. And so 7th Legion is going to be a very popular health recovery set. So is Troll King. Our TAM Takeaway Broth is going to be even more valuable because you're going to have to supplement that healing with health recovery. And the problem is, guys, everybody's going to be running the same stuff because they need to survive. Magic Stamina Nightblades, the Permacloak ones can kind of run whatever as long as they, stay in stealth and play a gang style build. They'll be fine because, if you're not taking damage, you don't have to heal through it. Stamplars, as long as they can keep purifying, they'll be okay. But everybody else is just going to be sitting on dots. They're going to be like, all right, shit, well, I got to put on Alessian or I got to put on 7th Legion or maybe both, or maybe I got to race change to Nord, get my resistances up because these dots are going to eat me alive. And that's the problem, is they don't have There's not another heal that stamina tunes can go to because they nerf vigor. What they have is vigor. And so this is the problem that I currently see with the Scalebreaker patch. The way it currently is there's not options. And so for the quick fix for Scalebreaker is I would like to see vigor buffed, 30, 40, 50%. Because these dots are still going to eat you alive. They're cheap. You're going to have to keep casting vigor. You're not going to be able to infinitely sustain if you're casting vigor every 4 seconds. Yes, you're going to be powerful for a bit, but you're going to have to do some stuff, or else if you're fighting 4 or 5 people and they all have these dots on you, you're going to run out of stamina and you're going to die. I don't see this broken scenario where if you can't, vigor needs to be adjusted. Vigor needs to be improved. Eventually, at some point, they need to provide stamina-based heals for classes, but they're not going to be able to do that in 4 days when the patch drops. And this is the problem that they had with this specific patch, in my opinion, was they buffed vigor by 85%, and people went out and showed like what it's going to do. And I posted a video and I said, yeah, it's really strong, but it must be strong because they buff these dots by so much. Like, you have to have this healing. And so I was never calling for a vigor nerf when I posted that video. I was just showing what it does. But they nerfed vigor and they buffed all these other heals. And so Magicka classes are going to be able to find ways to sustain and survive, and stamina classes have to essentially build in a health recovery. I don't think that's healthy for the game. I don't think that's balanced. I would like to see more build variety across the board, and the way it currently stands, it's not going to happen. And so the only way it's going to happen in the short term, like I said, is if they buff vigor again. And then before the next patch drops, they start looking at stamina-based heals so that they can get away from vigor heals and they can give stamina classes alternatives over just relying on one very powerful heal over time that can fit on every single bar in the game. So those are my thoughts. I wanted to leave it up to you guys, wanted to get some discussion on this, but yeah, I'm seeing a very narrow avenue for how stamina tunes are going to survive next patch, and I'm seeing a lot of variety for Magicka. And it's fine. Like I play Magicka too. I think that's great that we have choices because it's fun to build your classes different ways. But stamina, it's going to be a little rough. We're all going to be wearing the same gear. So that's the end of the video. Thank you for watching, guys. Have a nice day.